And we're at issue number 400, and Doc is on and has been on the Wolverine bandwagon for a long time. I bet you were super excited about this.
To be perfectly honest, they haven't had a good anniversary issue since issue 100. I am not excited at all, especially when this anniversary issue is being done by Salad Man, and I don't even remember who the fucking artists were on this.
Written by Saladin Ahmed, art by Martin Kokolo. It's mostly finishing up the stuff that he's been doing since issue number 1 with the Adamantine and then the Leonard Wendigo stuff. I don't think either of them really conclude in any type of spectacular or interesting manner, although we do get one pretty big reveal, I guess, at the end of chapter 2, the Wendigo story. And then we do get the Dana Warren Johnson showing up for a special story that's kind of in Wolverine history that I thought was pretty darn good. Sounds like Doc doesn't agree with me on that one, but there's a lot of information to get through here, Doc. And we have Romulus completely cloaked in gold, kind of beating up Wolverine for a while until Wolverine sort of takes him out. And then the Adamantine's like, wait, this Romulus guy, he fucking sucks. I should have been on you the whole time. And then Wolverine's like, I'm not feeling it, homie. He's like, well, I'm going to walk away. And when I come back, you and me are getting bonded.
Romulus is supposed to be kind of a big deal. They definitely jobbed him the fuck out here by just one stab in the mouth. Apparently that was enough to take out the head of the lupine branch of mutantdom. For some reason, only 2 of his claws keep coming out. And I figured, oh, well, maybe the last issue, like Romulus, like ripped one of them out or some shit to make it like really kind of a threat. And then just later in the issue, he's popping all 6 claws again. Okay, so that was just bad art, bad storytelling. Like, why?
And this was not exactly exciting. You do get a little bit of Nightcrawler. You do get some X-23 in there. So I haven't been feeling the Adamantine anything since day 1. So this was pretty anticlimactic for me.
I've yet to see why they're establishing that Adamantine is so mad about adamantium.
This is Saladin Ahmed trying to expand and uplift the lore of adamantium as if anybody in the history of the world ever asked for it.
Based on his logic here, he should also get really, really mad about titanium, steel, stainless steel, or pretty much any other fucking metal. Why aren't you just really, really pissed at vibranium here too? They've yet to establish why adamantine cares about it in any way that makes even the slightest bit of sense.
But he does, in fact, win. And we move on to what I perceive just reading this comic book, what Saladin Ahmed thought was like the bigger story that he was building up, and that was Leonard the Wendigo, which it turns out I don't think was quite as emotionally impactful as he thought it would be. But the thing that I did appreciate, and I definitely tip my cap to Mr. Ahmed and Mr. Kokolo, is the inclusion of Arcade, one of my favorite villains in here. And it does feel like an Arcade thing to do, to take the Wendigo, tie him up with bindings that are very, very tight, fill him full of drugs that would make him hungry, and leave some poor people in front of him, seeing how long it would take for him to break out and eat them in front of everybody, and then giving Wolverine, a specific time frame. Can you stop him in time?
That was well within character. Everything else here, though, not really. I mean, you've tried for 8 issues to make us care about Leonard the Wendigo. I've yet to really give a shit about this kid. And the longer you put him in here, the less I give a shit. This felt like a fucking after-school special.
I was just happy that Arcade was in there, but unfortunately, he doesn't fare very well. But he does get a chance to prove his thesis, and he gets Wendigo removed from his bindings with the people there, and Wolverine does remind Leonard the Wendigo, you're just a boy, you don't want to eat people, forgetting that the reason he became a Wendigo is because he did, in fact, eat people. Wendigo overcomes his bloodlust, jumps through a window, and then it appears that he was thinking about eating Arcade, but I think Arcade escaped out the side. But Leonard the Wendigo still has a heart of gold, and Wolverine and his new pet were able to, I guess, pass the test of not giving in to his bloodlust.
He jumped through the glass, bit him once on like the shoulder, kind of a zombie bite style, and then saved Wolverine, but Wendigo bit him. So now we're going to get Wendicade, but it happened in America, so who the fuck knows? Then again,
and it is Saladin Ahmed, so he might have just ignored it.
Yes, I mean, Obviously, he ignored the fact that the Wendigo is still a Wendigo on not Canadian soil, but apparently he can still Wendigo out in fucking Arizona.
But the weird thing is the Wendigo gets like some chemicals on him. The Wendigo was just like a crunchy shell on top of Leonard, and it like melts off him, and he's like, hey, I'm Leonard. And I was waiting for the moment where Wolverine put his fucking arm around. I was like, hey, bub, I hate to break it to you, but you ate your best friend Diego, and then you wrote a comic book about it. But that never happens.
Nope.
And he just takes him home. But the police have to show up for Leonard, right? He literally ate his friend. That's got to be a crime in Canada.
And I'm assuming that Canada would extradite.
But it's never really addressed how he became the Wendigo, that he literally ate his friend and then created a miniseries about it.
Yeah.
Well, I assume created a miniseries about it and then ate his friend, because I don't think Wendigos can fucking draw.
I don't think so either. And I don't think he had time between the time when he ate the kid and the time when he Wendigoed out to draw an entire comic book. Although Marvel, if they were really smart, would now do the Leonard the Cannibal comic written and drawn by Leonard and release that to store shelves. It would probably sell better than Salad Man's comic.
Saladin was like, I don't really want to acknowledge that he committed a crime and ate another human being, so we're going to act like he was set up. But now that he's with his mom, everything's okay, and they're like pinching his cheeks even though he's a murderer.
And at some point, he's going to have to tell her, oh, yeah, so the reason I was a Wendigo is because I ate my buddy. I'm pretty sure, even though his mom just got custody back, she's probably going to throw his ass out, even though his mom's kind of little trailer trashy.
Well, a little bit, but he should definitely be going back to Canada for trial. What is it with the X-Men line where you can just murder people, you can eat people, you can do whatever and never be held accountable?
You know, they used to not do that, but ever since the X-Men became the ultimate stand-in for whatever the oppressed minority of the moment is, anything they do is justified because they're oppressed. But now they're extending it out to random teenagers that illegally crossed the border into Canada and then ate their buddy too. So I don't know where the line is anymore.
All I'm saying is hashtag justice for Diego. He should not have been eaten like that. And then we get like a really out of nowhere moment. I imagine you were far more interested in this than I was. I was kind of rolling my eyes the entire time. But Ma Logan isn't dead. She's alienated, and she's written a letter asking for help from Wolverine. And now we're bringing his mom back.
Origin is the biggest mistake Marvel ever did. I will die on that fucking
Bigger
hill.
than One More Day.
I legitimately believe so. I think that Origin is the bigger mistake, even bigger than One More Day, because all of the coolness of Wolverine went away with that one fucking miniseries. And every time they touch it, every time they try to expand on it or try to use it as the basis of a new storyline, take little seeds from it and try to grow something new, it makes Wolverine less cool, less fun, and less interesting.
Is it better to have Secret Sister or Secret Mommy? And this is Ma Howlett, by the way. I think I said Ma Logan. Obviously, it's Mama Howlett.
I think Secret Sister is a more played out trope. We've gotten that so many times. But I think the dumber trope is definitely Secret Mommy.
Well, we're going to have Wolverine's mommy issues coming up in the not too distant future. So that's really exciting. But we also now have a definitive origin for his mutant powers. He obviously got them from his mommy.
I really did not like this. I rolled my eyes so hard I thought they were going to fall out of my head. Nobody wants this. We were all happy to see her dead on the floor of their fucking estate up in British Columbia in the 1840s or whenever the fuck it was. We were all
would
happy
you rather see the continuing adventure stories of Mama Howlett or the continued adventures of the Adamantine? Which one is a more repulsive future for Wolverine?
The Adamantine, I would prefer to have around because that's just retarded. This is further breaking who Wolverine has always been. It's a way to make Wolverine even more of a bitch than they found a way to do it in the last couple of years, unless it's fucking Mysterio screwing with him, which, all right, I'd be down with that if it's actually his mommy. I don't want it, and I don't think any Wolverine fan that wants it either.
So that is the end, or the review, I guess, of the Saladin Ahmed part. I was here for the main event. It was the Daniel Warren Johnson written and illustrated story. I think it's called Unrayo, something like that. But it's about like an ancient Wolverine in Japan, and there's this big shogun, evil samurai guy that's talking down to everybody, and this man's talking about this man whose vengeance must be quelled before he can put his sword down. Turns out it's Wolverine. He gets stuck by all these arrows. You got this great sword fight. I think the head was cut off of a freaking horse or something, and he eventually gets his vengeance. This old man's like, you can lay your weapons down now and be at peace. And he's looking at his claws. He's like, I can't put my weapons down. I can never be at peace. I thought it was a great short story. It's only about 10 to 12 pages. Unfortunately, and it is an $8 comic book, so I don't think it's particularly worth the cover price alone. But I did think it was absolutely fantastic. I would definitely prefer Daniel Warren Johnson on Wolverine moving forward, even though it's definitely not going to happen.
Look, I'm not the biggest Daniel Warren Johnson fan. I don't see the hype in him. This feels like something that I've seen done 10, 12 other times. Pretty sure Kari Andrews did it. There's been a couple of other creators that have done it in the not too distant past as well. Wolverine, Samurai, Shogun story. Peach Momoko, X-Men, that Dark Days or Demon Days or whatever it was, did basically the exact same thing a couple of years ago. It's too fantasy-esque for me. Again, not a big fantasy fan. I don't see the appeal in Daniel Warren Johnson. That being said, I think it was executed very well. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the art style. It's trying to be metaphorical or whatever, and just ends up so on the nose because I've seen it so many other times.
I don't understand how you cannot like this art. This weird, badass, feral looking fucking Wolverine with this crazy hair.
Because I've seen Sam Keith do it 35 times for like 5 years straight. No, I'm not saying that I didn't like it. I'm saying that I've seen it a million fucking times.
But you haven't seen it in 25 years.
It's cliched.
I think you just want to be that guy that wants to be contrarian, and everybody knows that Daniel Warren Johnson is the best writer artist of his generation, and you want to be the guy that says, nah, it's Liefeld's still better. And no. I'm not saying he's not better. I'm just saying that Daniel Warren Johnson is also great.
I'm just saying that I've never understood the appeal of Daniel Warren Johnson, and I still don't hear.
Yeah, well, they introduced Leonard, the Wendigo. They introduced a Adamantine. You didn't like that. So you don't want new. You won't want not new. What do you want, Doc? Something better than Wolverine 400?
Something other than Wolverine 400, yes, exactly.
It's not a terrible comic book. There are worse comic books this week. I know it's the worst of the week segment, but it was a notable comic book. You are a Wolverine fan. But Exceptional X-Men is worse. Nightwing was far worse. There are a couple other books out there that were way worse, but this wasn't like an awesome standout issue or even anything I would recommend. This is like the most 5 out of 10, 2.5 out of 5 book of all time, even though I love the final 12 pages.
I'm going to give it 1.5 out of 5. The Martin Coppola art I thought was poor. The story was lame. It wasn't insulting, though. It was just dumb and boring.
And you know what the weird part is without a shadow of a doubt, of all the X-Men ongoing series, now that Weapon X-Men isn't ongoing, this is the best one. So that is us putting a bow on Wolverine 400. If you would like the fully unedited, uncensored, unfiltered review, you do need to go to Think Critical Patreon. The Doc Unfiltered podcast, you'll get this as well as our conversation regarding Rob Liefeld crapping all over Marvel, which was absolutely phenomenal. There's a link in the video description. Hope to see you there very, very soon.